So much to discuss. And of course, I want to hear from you. Give me a holler. 1-877-JVM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. But first, my expert panel: Drew Finling, Atlanta criminal defense attorney; Michelle Golland, clinical psychologist; Joe Navarro, former FBI agent and profiler; and Adam Longo, a reporter with CNN affiliate WKMG. Adam, what is the very latest?
Yeah, Jay, news underway on two fronts tonight. First, I'm standing in front of the First Baptist Church of Orlando, as we've mentioned repeatedly, about a mile from the Orange County Jail where Caylee Anthony is. This is where the service is going to be held tomorrow. Doors apparently opening at 9 o'clock in the morning. They can seat 5,000 people in the worship center here, but to tell you the truth, no one really has a clue about how many people are going to be showing up. Despite that, security is tight for tomorrow. Metal detectors will be in place. No one will be allowed bags, backpacks, purses, cell phones. Just in the past few minutes, I was inside. The Anthony family private investigator Dominic Casey is in there right now going over security with some of the church staff right now, Jane. There's also that huge news that the statement coming out from Caylee Anthony through her attorney, Jose Baez. A couple of bombshells dropped on us earlier this afternoon, Jane.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to review them right now because these are shockers, people, from Jose Baez today, reading a statement from Caylee Anthony. You got to listen to this.
I allowed my parents to be in charge of the funeral for Caylee. I told them that I wanted her buried in a casket, and I wanted there to be a gravestone so I can go and visit her. I asked them if there could only be a private funeral for just the family. I know they cremated her.
Michelle Golland, is this a symptom of a deeper problem with this family? They always seem to be fighting. Cindy and Caylee have fought. They fought when Caylee wanted to give this child up for adoption when she was still pregnant for her. They fought about how to raise the child. They fought about Caylee's behavior. And now, even in this child's death, on the eve of this memorial, that should really be about healing and love and community and all these good feelings, this powerful, positive energy, you have Caylee Anthony kind of reigning on this parade.
Well, it's interesting. I think it's Caylee Anthony reigning on the parade, but there's also, it shows again, as you've said, this rift in the family that prior to even little Caylee going missing, obviously this family was highly dysfunctional and in high conflict. So again, they're going to continue to do exactly what they do, which is to be in conflict, not be able to manage situations, even at this point that is so publicly. They couldn't manage things privately, and they certainly can't manage them publicly.
Drew Finling, you are a criminal defense attorney. Why is Jose Baez participating in this? I have not heard many occasions where a defense attorney reads a statement on a street corner from an incarcerated defendant, especially on the eve of a memorial. If she's so opposed, should he have not said to her, chill out? This is an important day for your parents. We don't want to ruin it for them. Don't say anything. And if you are going to release a statement, I'm not going to read it for you.
Jane, I am concerned. There comes a time when you are the criminal defense attorney, when you must be focused on the upcoming trial that will take place at some time. You're not a publicist. You're not an advertising guy. You are a trial lawyer. And to put that statement out there, you know, I know there's a lot of things said that are going to infuriate people, but as a trial lawyer, what I'm troubled by is the part of her statement that he read out loud, that she thinks about Caylee every second, every minute, she misses her. Let me tell you something. If she chooses to take the stand, and even if she doesn't, we are now inviting the prosecutors to talk about was she missing her every second and every minute while her body was decomposing and she was disco dancing? And if she does take the stand, she will be eviscerated on cross-examination. Again, this statement takes away the ability for her to testify. She cannot testify. And as a defense attorney, you have to question, do you want to be a participant in taking that constitutional right away from your client?
Joe Navarro, there's a practical solution here. They could have found a middle ground. In other words, she wanted a formal burial in a casket. The family, we just found out, and that's a big shocker, cremated the toddler. But you can take cremated remains and bury them and give them a headstone. So it's almost like this rift didn't have to happen. They could have both had their way, in a sense.
Yeah, as you've said, this is a perennial basket case of individuals fighting each other. They're fighting each other at this time when they really should be thinking about the child. This rift is going to play out tomorrow. This is going to be high theater. There's going to be a lot of perception management going on. And it's going to play out during the trial. And what we're going to see over and over again is a family that's dysfunctional, a mother who is narcissistically very serene, seemingly untouched at times by the events that have been taking place. And, you know, you wonder, why wasn't all this effort vectored into Caylee, into finding Caylee and into solving this case from the get-go.
Now, also in the statement that Baez read today from Casey, we see Casey is somewhat ruefully admitting, hey, parents are still in charge. Listen to this.
I still don't want a public event with cameras and everybody around for Caylee's service. But I can't stop my parents. But I can't stop my parents from doing what they want. I truly hope that it will help them.
True Finley, could this hurt with the jury pool, listening to the fact that this young woman behind bars doesn't want a public memorial, even though the entire nation has become emotionally invested in this case, and this community in Orlando certainly needs something like this to heal?
I think what's imperative is that you mentioned the jury pool. Whether or not 30% of them, 70% of them, 5% of them treat it that way, if it's just one, that's just not good. You've got to, at some point, remember, you're not marketing Coca-Cola or Bounty paper towels. You're getting ready for a criminal jury trial where your client is looking at spending the rest of her life in jail. It's enough with the statements. Whatever she says to her attorney is part of their conversation. It's bad enough that we all have to hear what she says to her parents in private, but now to take these statements and perhaps alienate people, because certainly you're not making any friends with these statements.
Yeah.
You're just alienating a certain group of people.
This is a battle of wills playing out before the public at the worst possible time for this particular defendant. All right. Don't forget, Nancy Grace is up at 8 p.m. Eastern. She will have the very latest on plans for Caylee Anthony's memorial service. And we are just getting started right here on Issues. Lots, and I mean lots, of shocking new details to sort through in the Caylee Anthony case. Do you have a question or comment for our expert panel? Give us a holler. 1-877-JVM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. But first, here is Casey Anthony's attorney today delivering stunning news about little Caylee's remains.
I don't want anybody disrupting this little girl's service. That's the most important thing that I've got to emphasize. She deserves dignity and respect, and she's going to get it.
That's Brad Conway echoing what his client, Cindy Anthony, wrote to in her eulogy to Caylee, that only those with the purest of hearts may attend tomorrow's memorial service. I want to hear what you think about all of this. Call 1-877-JVM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. Back with my fantastic panel and the phone lines lighting up. Melody, Massachusetts, question or thought, ma'am?
I actually have a thought about the memorial service tomorrow.
Sure.
I'm just hoping that a lot of people that do go are, respectful, even though they're upset with the grandparents, that they are respectful because it is for Caylee, and they really didn't have to do this. I know a lot of people, like on the in the paper today, a lot of the comments are, they're really slamming the grandparents, and I just hope tomorrow that everyone is respectful and nice because it is for Caylee.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I certainly think that these grandparents are victims and they need to have compassion, and this memorial service is for the community, but it's also for them. Adam Longo, you were there at the church. What are you hearing in terms of how this is going to unfold?
Right. Well, we see with big events like this, somebody could use this easily as a stage to make a scene. We do know that security is very tight here. They're not letting people in with cell phones, purses, backpacks. As you heard Brad Conway say, he doesn't want any disruptions. Unfortunately, we have heard that the group who we've heard a lot about nationally that protest soldiers' funerals, the Westboro Baptist Church, apparently there's talk that a few members of that church may be here. And also you talk about those with the purest of hearts aren't invited by Cindy Anthony. Apparently that includes Leonard Padilla, and he's telling us that he's going to have his own little prayer vigil service over in East Orange County where the remains were found. He's going to be joined by Richard Grund and several other people where they're going to have a prayer service over there at the exact same time that this service is going on at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Oh, boy. Well, let's hope it doesn't turn into a giant circus. And that hate-mongering group you mentioned, I think we're going to try to ignore them because really they are just insinuating themselves to try to get attention. Now, you talked about Leonard Padilla. In her eulogy, Cindy says, as we mentioned, only those with the purest of hearts may attend. Now we hear, as you just heard from the reporter, bounty hunter Leonard Padilla disinvited reportedly by Cindy. That's what he says. Why? Maybe it's because of statements like this. Take a listen.
Caylee, beyond all reasonable doubt, is deceased. The FBI knows it, Orange County knows it, Cindy and George know it, and most of all, Casey, the perpetrator of her death, knows it.
Michelle Golland, what do you make of the reports that he has been disinvited? Is a purest of hearts, I understand that, but pure of heart doesn't necessarily mean that you have to believe that Casey Anthony is innocent.
Right. I mean, I think I can understand Cindy trying to sort of contain what seems absolutely uncontainable at this point. So I think the memorial service, as you have said, Jane, yourself, really should be about, you know, compassion for the family and for little Caylee.
Yeah,
That's
but
really
see, what's
needs to be the
interesting is
focus.
that both mother and daughter are putting sort of a spin on that by making
Right.
these statements. So while we certainly want it to be just simply about compassion and no controversy, we're not creating the controversy. The controversy
Right.
comes to us via
Right.
these statements, and we have to analyze them. So it does shed light on the psychology, not just of Casey,
completely.
but also of Cindy Anthony.
Oh, I have to say, I mean, the other flip side of this is also how controlling, in many ways, Cindy Anthony is. And again, I think what at least has been said even prior to little Caylee going missing in the summer was this very contentious relationship between mother and daughter vying for the attention of little Caylee, and again, controlling even Casey wanting the child or not wanting the child. So again, my understanding of this is, again, a truly dysfunctional family that should have sought help much further ago.
And again, we say that with all the compassion that we have for them, and we do. They've gone through hell.
Yes,
I don't know how, we have no clue as to how we would handle a situation like this. We might handle it even worse. Now, here's another controversy that is a shocker, and I've got to get you your reaction to this, and we're going to get to the phones too. Kia Marie Torres Cruz, Casey's childhood friend, told the National Enquirer that she, Casey, and another friend buried childhood pets when they were barely teenagers in the very same spot and in the very same manner as little Caylee's remains were found. Quote, "We put the hamster in a plastic Ziploc bag and put that inside a paper bag. On the paper bag, we drew 5 or 6 hearts as signs of love and wrote, 'We will miss you, Sage.' It's just too much of a coincidence. The place, the hearts, the bags, it all adds up." Drew Finling, as you recall, little Caylee's remains were found in a hamper and then wrapped again in a garbage bag. The heart sticker was placed on the duct tape that was over the child's mouth. How incriminating, if this is true, how incriminating is it?
I think it's total garbage, and I think this is talking about the purest of hearts. The entire world has descended upon Orlando, Florida, in the quest to find this little girl, and then once she's found, to try to determine who's responsible for her death. And in the more than the 11th hour, all of a sudden somebody comes with information not to prosecutors, not to the FBI, not to local police, but to the National Enquirer waving cash. It's a joke. It'll be thrown in the garbage can.
All right. Thank you all. We're going to have a lot more on Caylee Anthony in just a couple of minutes. Stay right there.